mean, you just absolutely cannot do better than that. That is just plain amazing. Greetings, discreet defenders. Well, we have a bare gel test set up today to compare the Remington HTP lead hollow point 158 grain round against the 140 grain Underwood loaded Xtreme Defender round. When we tested them before, we got an average of 237 foot-pounds of energy out of the HTPs and 234 foot-pounds of energy out of the Underwoods. Now, you'll notice down here I have a third round set up, and that is the Buffalo Bore 158 grain lead hollow point, semi-wad cutter lead hollow point, which compares in design very similarly to the Remington HTP 158 grain lead hollow point. So once we throw the Remingtons through the gel and then the Xtreme Penetrators through the gel, if there's still room in the block, we'll put one of the Buffalo Bores through it. All three of these rounds are plus P. All three are relatively powerful ammo as 38 Special goes, but neither of the two main test subjects compares with the Buffalo Bore. It is about 50% higher muzzle energy than either of the other two. Now, I did set up the Pro Chrono. There's hazy sunshine, so I'm going to attempt to get chronograph readings. If we don't get chronograph readings, whatever, it's not really important because these two rounds turned out both fairly consistent in our previous testing. Today we're just going to do a bare gel test because we want to compare the wound tracks, and we kind of want to stop both of these rounds in the gel if it's possible, because bare gel promotes expansion and therefore the rounds slow down and stop in a shorter distance than gel with a denim barrier put in front of it. All right, first up, we'll shoot the Remington HTPs, 15.5-inch gel column. I could have made a longer one, but it would have been more expensive. The cost of gel has literally gone up 80% in the last 5 months. I don't know what people are using boiled pigskin for, that it's in that kind of demand, but the cost of everything is going up these days. All right. First, the 158 grain HTPs. Eyes and ears properly protected. Shooting danger close, about 4 feet from the gel for proper shot placement. That one is showing 765. I'm going to call that definitely an error on the Pro Chrono. I do not believe that round was only going 765. All right, we have beautiful bare gel penetration. 13 right to the back of the first block, so fully 13 and 3/8 of an inch, that close to the top. And look at the mushroom on that. I mean, that is classic, and that is massive. That is a properly expanded 38 Special round, and it penetrated properly as well. All right. Next up, we'll do the Underwood loaded 140 grain Xtreme Penetrator, copper solid, fluted, 140 grain 38 Special plus P round. And I'll move the chronograph over just a bit because I'm going to shoot this one to the left of the Remingtons in that block. And then we will compare the damage tracks, because after I put the Buffalo Bore through it, I don't know that you'll be able to gain very much information at all, except the gel block's destroyed. All right, trying to use the chronograph again, probably not going to get great results. Now that one's obviously gone all the way through both gel blocks, over penetrated the water jug. Oh, mini bees are back. Wow, it does not take them long. The snow just melted last week. Already we have mini bees. All right, 2 holes out of the water jug. And we've captured the round in the sandbacker, but you already know what they look like. With 6 inches of water on top of 15 inches of gel, that's definitely 18 inches of penetration. Since it's buried itself in the sand, you can believe there's some over penetration with that round. And that's not surprising for a copper solid. Now, let us, okay, gun's empty, eject those 2 rounds. Let us bring in the camera a bit here and just briefly study the wound tracks. In fact, I'll just zoom in. Okay, in the early part of the gel is where you will find the damage to be most impressive, generally speaking. So we'll focus in on that just a bit. Okay, from this perspective, the Remington HTP is on the bottom and the Xtreme Defender is on the top. Let's set up those buffalo bore and blow up this gel block. Yeah, we have an error again with the chronograph, showing 653 for the Underwood. Don't really care. The buffalo bore in the past have averaged about 357 foot-pounds of energy in chronograph testing. Just over 1,000 feet per second on that 158 grain plus P semi-wad cutter lead hollow point. So we're gonna leave the malfunctioning Pro Chrono out of it for the moment and just shoot gel. Yeah, we did capture it. The extra 50% muzzle energy definitely translates into a lot of extra recoil. No. Did we capture it? What did we capture? Now, you can see that explosive wound channel. I think the buffalo bore round may have actually disintegrated itself completely. Yeah, that's definitely lead. Oh man, there's 2 pieces of it. There's 2 pieces of the bullet. Something went kind of sideways right through the backer block there and punched 2 holes in the water jug, but most of that buffalo bore bullet, most of the projectile is in the bottom of the water jug. So let's pull that out and take a look. Oh, not most of it, part of it. Some of it's gone off and escaped. This is the base. This is what's left of that bullet, as it is way overpowered and has torn itself completely to pieces. So that's what you get for 350 foot-pounds of energy, or 360 from buffalo bore. Now, compare that to the Remington HTP with its flawless penetration and beautiful wide mushroom cap. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to take the calipers and put it on that HTP, because that is magnificent, beyond flawless, textbook, traditional expansion. All right, we're zeroed. It's almost perfectly symmetrical. 60 caliber. I mean, you just absolutely cannot do better than that. That is just plain amazing. And as we've seen, you do get some expansion even with a denim barrier and a lacquered panel behind it. So actually, these HTPs seem like an absolutely appropriate choice for defensive use in a traditional sized Snub-nose 38 special. All right, I'm going to cut out those wound channels and take a look at them. Take a little bit more in-depth look at them. Okay, so here is the first critical 6 3/4 inches of each of the 3 wound tracks. Okay, so we have the HTP right here. Starts at this end. There's the entry. So we've got pretty decent expansion going, taking up the first roughly 5 inches, about 5 inches of the track, and then it starts to thin down after that. All right, and then the Underwood, and that's more consistent down the entire length, as you'd expect, because there is not any expansion. It's just protracted damage, those flutes working for us, at least in gel, and then the buffalo bore. Obviously, a titanic energy dump within the first 4 inches, and then the round itself starts to disintegrate. You can already see the lead spraying out through the first 4 inches of the wound track. Probably not an appropriate defensive round from a lightweight snubby, because it's just too powerful, and your follow-up shots are going to be in the sky or in the dirt if you overcorrect. Between these two, I'd say both of them would work nicely. Obviously, the HTP is going to cost less. I'd probably go with the HTP. I definitely recommend one of these over the buffalo bore in a lightweight 38 snubby. Once again, that was our bare gel comparison test shoot between the 158 grain Remington high terminal performance lead hollow point round plus P 38 plus P, and the Underwood loaded Xtreme Penetrator, which weighs 140 grains and features the fluted copper solid projectile. All right, thanks folks. This is Dave for DDR. Have a great week.